It all started with a personal ad, an Australian businessman looking for love.
James just had this confidence about him.
This one's for you.
I was swept up in the excitement and the whole experience.
But the thrill would come with a price.
Being married to 2 women at the same time, or 3, who knows?
It was not even like watching a movie. It was worse because it was people you knew.
Soon, Donna Anderson would learn that her husband's dashing charm was nothing but a mask for the kind of man he really was.
I couldn't believe it. It was just beyond my comprehension.
When it comes to love and marriage, things aren't always what they seem. When you're single and looking for love in Atlantic City, sometimes finding Mr. Right can seem nearly impossible. Donna Anderson knows this truth all too well.
At the age of 26, I started my business, Donna Anderson Copywriting. So I was pretty much totally focused on making sure that my business was a success. So any social activity was definitely a lower priority.
By the summer of 1996, Donna found herself still single. With her 40th birthday rapidly approaching, she tried her hand at internet dating. Before long, an intriguing ad caught her eye.
Late 40s, Sean Connery lookalike. Ex-Green Beret, but I baby talk to my dog.
The ad was placed by a local widower, a transplanted Australian named James Montgomery. Before long, the two set up a time and place to meet.
He talked about how he had been a scriptwriter in Hollywood, and he had several businesses that he was in the process of starting. One of them was an electronic theme park for adults, and he wanted to start another television channel here in Atlantic City. So that was kind of exciting.
I think James talked a really good game. I think he thought he was pretty impressive.
The whole package sounded like amazing. I had never met anyone like it.
Wow. Donna was hooked, and the romance was off and running.
He showered me with a lot of attention. He was always sending me emails, sending poetry, cards.
This is the love of my life.
Good morning.
Their relationship was clearly on a fast track. James moved at a dizzying speed. 4 days after their first date, he proposed.
And I was astounded, and I said yes. I was swept up in the excitement and of the whole experience. I felt like finally my turn had come, and the knight had shown up on his shiny horse.
Donna was sure she had found the one, and just 4 months after they met, she and James tied the knot.
Now confirm you, husband and wife. Now you make me.
The wedding was lovely. It really was. Her close friends were there. She looked beautiful. She really did.
Donna seemed happy at her wedding. She found her boyfriend, she found her lover, she found her now husband.
At one point, I was going around saying hello to all my guests, and my younger brother says, "You're the queen." And I did. I felt like the queen. It was a fabulous day.
But Donna's happily ever after wouldn't last very long. And what happened next played out just like a scene in a bad movie.
I never expected that my life would deteriorate to the point that I would be in this position. This was not at all what I agreed to.
2 years into the marriage, money was so tight for the couple that Donna decided to pawn some of her jewelry. James had been keeping her rings under lock and key.
He told me that the rings were in a lockbox in his office.
But when Donna went to find them, she stumbled upon something shocking.
So I started looking around for a lockbox, and I found it in the closet. And I absolutely could not believe what I found in that box.
Donna's discovery would shatter her world.
The whole thing was almost surreal. It was almost like, huh?
I was furious that I had been betrayed, but my immediate concern was trying to figure out a way for me to survive.
It was the fall of 1996, and after a whirlwind romance and storybook wedding, Donna Anderson and James Montgomery had all the hopes of a bright future.
James presented himself as someone who would absolutely accomplish everything that he set out to do. He just had this confidence about him. He was certain that everything he was pursuing would be fulfilled.
James had several business deals pending, but none had come to fruition, so money was tight. Supporting the couple fell to Donna.
Donna was supporting James because when he moved out of his apartment, he doesn't have to pay rent. He's freeloading on Donna. I didn't like it.
Donna not only paid the rent, but she paid for her entrepreneur husband's business trips as well.
James traveled a lot for business. He was going to trade show events to find people to get involved with the theme park. He was going to events related to the television network. He had to make these connections, so it seemed to me that it was reasonable for me to be paying for these trips.
Donna was content to support her man from the sidelines. Then, James presented her with a business proposition.
He showed me one of his proposals for the businesses, and then he says, you know, by the way, Donna, you really should invest in this. These businesses are going to be successful. They're going to make a lot of money.
Donna is conservative. She took business seriously. She had to really, truly believe in something before she would invest in it.
So I asked him, well, what would I have to do? And he said, well, $5,000 will get you several points of ownership. And so it seemed to me to be a good idea. I felt like he was looking out for me.
Then, just a few days later, James had another investment opportunity for Donna.
James learned that slot machines were going to be legalized on the ocean piers in Atlantic City. So he wanted to go buy this option on Central Pier so that anybody who wanted to put slot machines on the piers would have to deal with us.
But this time, the price tag was heftier. $20,000.
I didn't have $20,000. So he says to me, well, how much do you have? And I said, probably $10,000. And he says, okay, well, that'll be fine. I'll get the rest of the money. So I gave him the $10,000.
It was another leap of faith. But Donna was hopeful.
James conveyed the impression that it would be impossible for anything to fail or to go wrong.
But James was a little too optimistic. None of his business ventures ever seemed to pan out. He told Donna he was having trouble closing the deals. So she was left financially drained and questioning her marriage.
My first year of marriage was very confusing because, on the one hand, James continued to proclaim how much he loved me. On the other hand, we were broke. And I was making good money, and as fast as I made it, he spent it. And he didn't seem to have any concept of financial responsibility.
Then, in January of 1998, Donna made an unpleasant discovery that took her mind off any financial troubles.
James was away on a business trip, and I needed a phone number. So I went to his desk.
What Donna found stopped her dead in her tracks.
And I open up one drawer, and I find a stack of Polaroid photographs. And they're photographs of naked women. And I was like, what is this? And I was angry. This man is my husband. Why does he have pictures of naked women?
A few days later, when James returned home, Donna was waiting to confront him.
I said, what are these pictures? And he says to me that they're pictures from his past. He just keeps them for old time's sake. I was pretty upset by this. The easiest thing for me to do was believe him, so that's what I chose to do.
Donna might have accepted her husband's story, but her troubles were just beginning.
I had no idea he was that deceitful and cheating on me to that level.
I thought maybe he might have girlfriends on the side, but I didn't know he had other wives.
In January of 1999, just 2 years into her marriage, Donna Anderson was left wondering if any of her husband's business deals would ever come through.
At this point, I had probably spent $150,000 on him or something like that. I was carrying maybe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in credit card debt.
When I first found out that she was backing everything, I was like really shocked.
I was traumatized, but I felt trapped. I felt like I had chosen this path and I had to see it through. I asked myself, what kind of wife leaves her husband because the business plans aren't working out?
Donna was committed to seeing it through, but by February 9th, 1999, the couple's financial situation was so dire that Donna had a tough time making ends meet. Seemingly determined to persevere, James set off on yet another business trip, so Donna drove him to the airport that day.
As we were driving, I asked him where were some of my rings, because I had some rings that were missing. I mean, I was actually considering taking them to a pawn shop to try and get some cash so I could buy groceries. And he told me that the rings were in a lockbox in his office.
Donna went back home, anxious to retrieve her rings.
So I open up his desk drawer and I find the key, and I open the box, and I absolutely could not believe what I found in that box. I found all this evidence that he had been scamming not only me, but 20 or 30 other women. And essentially, he funded his lifestyle by meeting women and taking their money. I started finding photographs of all these women that he was involved with and his correspondence with these different women. I mean, it was mind-boggling.
It seems James's business trips were for a different type of business entirely.
What really angered me was that I realized that he's taking all these flights, going to these places to see all these women that he's involved with, and I'm the one buying the tickets.
It was not even like watching a movie. It was worse because it was people you knew.
But as Donna continued to dig through James's safe, it had one final secret to reveal, and it was a doozy.
I found photographs of him with an infant. I found Christmas cards from the mother and James that had yet to be sent out.
James was the proud papa of a bouncing baby girl, conceived and born while James was married to Donna.
I found a birth certificate, and the birth certificate showed that James was the father of a child that had been born almost a year earlier.
During his marriage to Donna, James had managed to string along possibly as many as half a dozen women at the same time, all of them thinking they were his one and only.
I had no idea that he was that deceitful and cheating on me to that level. But actually, one of my first reactions was, now I can leave.
2 days later, Donna called James to tell him their marriage was over.
So he says, please come back. I love you. You know that I love you. And I said, no, it's over. We're done.
Those were the last words that Donna ever spoke to James Montgomery. But only 10 days later, James took his scamming to a whole new level.
I started contacting some of these other women. And one of my calls was to a woman in Florida who was a friend of the woman who he had a child with. And I was astounded. What he had done was I left him, and 10 days later, he married her. So he committed bigamy.
With this ring, I wed you.
Not only was James now a bigamist, but it wasn't even the first time.
When he married the wife before me, he was still married to the wife before her.
I, James, take thee, Kathleen.
As the layers unfolded, it was shocking.
We is married.
I thought maybe he might have girlfriends on the side, but I didn't know he had other wives.
To heaven to home.
The state forth.
James may have pulled the ultimate con, but Donna was about to go for the ultimate revenge. After 2.5 years of marriage to James Montgomery, Donna Anderson now had proof that James was a con man and a bigamist with possibly a half-dozen other women on the side. Somehow he had gotten away with it all this time.
I, James, take thee, Kathleen.
Come to find out, James had a secret voicemail account. So he was getting all these messages from all these different people going to this special phone number and not telling me anything that was going on.
But how did a smart businesswoman like Donna get conned?
She wanted to believe the guy. I understand he's quite intelligent, but when you're looking for somebody, you kind of overlook some things.
I was very hard on myself. I was like, how could you be so stupid? How could you be so gullible? And the reason is because of that psychological manipulation that goes on.
This is the love of my life.
It's very difficult for people who have not been in this type of relationship to understand what it's like.
This one's for you.
He was a real slob, you know what I mean? A real predator. You know, he's doing this to other women. Some lady, sooner or later, is going to go off the deep end and blow this guy's head off with a pistol, and I would call that justifiable homicide.
But Donna took the high road, and in June of 1999, she filed for divorce from James Montgomery. As part of the proceedings, Donna brought a civil suit against James for financial fraud.
James had taken from me $227,000 that I paid in his business expenses. So that was the amount that I claimed in the divorce. The judge found that he had committed fraud against me. The judge awarded me all the money that I asked for and $1 million in punitive damages.
James never showed up in court and was legally declared in default. Since he still had no income and only $517 to his name, that is all Donna ever received.
What I know now was that the whole marriage was a scam. He never loved me. For him, I was just a cash cow. I mean, he told me that he was going to be the next Walt Disney, and I guess I was Tinkerbell.
But it wasn't over yet. 4 years after her ordeal, Donna, on a lark, did an internet search on James Montgomery and came across an interesting bio.
I find a headline that says, James Montgomery, new man at the helm. He was now at a university in Australia as the manager of its radio network. And this was amazing to me because he had a job.
Since James was actually employed for once, Donna hired an Australian attorney to re-serve James her civil case.
James had stopped responding to the lawsuit, so he was declared in default, which meant that I could go ahead and push him into bankruptcy, which is what they do in Australia. But James actually saved me the trouble by declaring bankruptcy himself.
By now, the Australian media was onto his case. When Donna tipped off a group that investigates military imposters that James had been falsely posing as a war hero, he became the subject of newspaper articles and lost his job at the radio station as a result. Even though she never got her money back, Donna considers his public humiliation sweet justice.
She's just done really well. I think that she's really come full circle, and I'm happy for her.
It took Donna several years to get over her ordeal. But today, Donna has accepted the past and moved on. 5 years after her divorce from James, Donna was ready to say yes to marriage once again.
I can honestly say that I didn't know what love was until I became involved with Terry. I realize now that I was never really in love with James. I was in love with the idea of being married.
Though she's happy today, Donna will never forget the hard road she traveled. And in her book and website, Love Fraud, she has words of advice for others.
People want to think that there's good in everyone. Unfortunately, it isn't true. You know, there are people out there who are rotten to the core. They are living among us. They have no heart, no conscience, no remorse.
Absolutely.